Welcome everyone to the Tuesday Production Mastermind. We're going to dive into 4 business systems today. When you hear the word system, what do you think about? When I say business system or systems in your business, what are some of the things that come to your mind? A little bit more about my background. I had a business. It was myself and an assistant. I had an agent working with me. And we were doing a decent amount of deals. I heard Lars on a podcast talk about the importance of systems in your business. I didn't really understand what that meant until I started building systems into my own business. As we go along in this process, you'll see that a checklist is a good place to start. When you look at building a system, having a framework for what that means in your business. I know there's some people on here that do a lot of transactions and some people on here that probably do minimal transactions or kind of just getting into the business. And so your systems might look different than my systems. And my systems 5 years ago, when I met Lars, looked completely different from what they look now. As you're looking at building systems into your business, I think there's some benefit to looking at it. And I kind of reference it in a scale of 1 to 10. If you are operating any kind of system in your business now on like a level 1, all you have is maybe a broken checklist or basic frameworks of what you're doing as part of your system. And maybe a level 10 is that your system is running perfectly optimized with a lot of automations, and you don't have to do anything for the system or very minimal to the system. That would be a level 10. And so what I think is a good takeaway for everybody on the call is assessing your different systems in your business and say, where am I at now? And where do I need to take this to the next level? For me, in my journey, I've gone from a level 0 or 1 and just got it up a little bit more. Then I'd work on another system and get it up a little bit more, incrementally increasing my systems from very poor or no systems to basic systems, then more intricate systems as the business grew. This year we'll do, depending on how many actually close, I'm in New York State. And so if there's any New York State agents here, you know it's not easy to close a transaction in New York State. Depending on how we get to the end of the year, we'll hit 150, 155-ish. Having a system for where you're at is appropriate. You don't need to go from 0 to 10. That's probably a waste of capacity. But being able to go from 0 to 3 or from 3 to 5 and moving it up. And as you look at your business, and next week, we're going to talk a little bit about business planning. But as you look at your business, maybe as we go through this call and say, hey, where am I at with this system? If you are a solo agent, you're going to probably work on 1, maybe 2 systems per quarter. If you operate a team and you have an executive assistant or a virtual assistant, you might be able to take on 2 systems per quarter. There were some quarters that I couldn't get 1 system implemented fully. I had to string it into a second quarter. Part of that was because I was still doing some production. It takes me a little bit longer to do things, just the way my mind works. The 4 systems that we're going to break down today fall in the category of attract. So we're attracting business, converting that business, delivering a great experience to our clients, and then scaling. Whether you're brand new licensed agent, haven't done a transaction, or you're running a team similar to mine, or maybe even larger, this will give you some ideas on where this plays into your business. As we look at attract, convert, deliver, and scale, you may have these in your business already, and maybe it's time to redo them, or you might not have them in your business at all, and maybe it's time to add them. Does anybody know why we want to build systems into our business? The reason we build a system is so that we can bring somebody else to run that system, and that will help us scale and grow. Or if you just say, hey, I want to stay a solo agent, which is 100% appropriate. I want to stay a solo agent. It's also going to allow you to do things more consistently and eventually do them better so that it can scale and become easily duplicatable. I'm going to share my screen here and we are going to walk through some of these. The first system we're going to dive into is the attract. So in your business, what are you doing to attract leads? We're going to break down a couple of these. The first one I want to highlight for good reason is the database marketing system. If you do not have this in your business, stop whatever you're doing and work to implement this database marketing system. One of the hardest things we did in our business was compiling the names of the people we know. It took a long time to get the email addresses, home addresses, and sometimes phone numbers. But this year, after working on this system for several years now, this year in my market, which is low 200,000 average price point, will generate us right around 300,000 GCI. And the investment into that is under $15,000 a year. So it's really high ROI. When I first built out my database marketing system, we probably had like 36 touch point system. And it wasn't done really well, but it was done consistently. I took it from 0 to 3. And then about a year and a half ago, went back and redid it again, took it from 36 to 60 touches. And now we're probably at maybe a 6. I still have room to grow in this system. But just getting that up to a 6, maybe we're at a 7, is going to generate multiple 6 figures and very high profit margin. And honestly, they're pretty easy deals. Hey, Ben, so-and-so needs to buy a house. I'm going to send them to you. Hey, Ben, so-and-so passed away. We need to sell the house. I need you to come take a look at it. I decided to move to the West Coast. I want to sell my house. I need you to come over here. I can tell you story upon story how this one system has transformed my business. It's honestly a lot of fun. The fact that people call me consistently to either help them buy or sell homes is because of this system. I'm guessing if you're on this call, you're planning on being in business for the next couple of years. Getting this dialed in to your business is going to be of critical importance. So I'm going to dive into a couple other attract systems, but this is the key one that you want to have in your business. It's the key one that I implemented 5 years ago, but honestly, very poor level. Now we're at a much better level. Any questions about the database marketing system?
I got a quick question, Ben. I'm assuming you're sending out emails as well?
Yeah. So we send out 4 emails a month, and then we send out some hard copy stuff.
What system are you using to send your emails out?
Like what email server?
Yeah.
Good question. So originally, when I first got this started, I used MailChimp. I tried using the CRM and it just wasn't landing the way I wanted it to land. I have since scaled that up to using Emma. But if I was anybody on this call making less than $100,000 in GCI, I would be using MailChimp. It's just more affordable. My Emma is $100 a month. MailChimp, I think, is $15 or $20 a month. My Emma is the platform we use. But again, I think if you're on this call, less than 100,000 GCI, MailChimp is what we used for a long time. I'm going to tell you, of all the things I've done in my business, and we'll sell 150-ish houses this year, of all the things I've done, compiling my list was the hardest thing there was. I know a decent amount of people in my area, but I'm not from here. And one, it was just like, to me, it felt like $1 productive activity. And so I really had to put my head down. I set goals when I was doing it and say, I'm not going to leave my chair until I get so many people into the database, and finally, built it up. But I wasn't marketing to like thousands. Last year, I had 250 people in there. We did 250,000 GCI. 17% of my database transacted with me. So I think the goal for everybody on here should be 150 to 200 people in the database, and you should strive for 10% conversion on that. So if you have 200 people, you're getting about 20 deals. Those are very profitable deals. You can use KV Core for marketing, Geraldine. I think what you want to be cognizant of is, are they going to spam? If they're going to spam, your emails aren't being seen. I don't use KV Core, so I don't know how their email platform is. Maybe you have to send out less emails and send it out more. So if you have 100 people, maybe you have to send like 10 at a time. But Diana says a lot of them go to spam. So, but again, MailChimp is pretty affordable platform to use. That's what we did to start off with. Social media marketing. I know we had a call recently on the Tuesday Production Mastermind. She was talking about Google. I get a ton of business from Google. I want to reaffirm what Jessica said on that call, that your Google page should be built out. You should have updates. You should have photos. You should have reviews. I sent out 3 requests for reviews yesterday. I'm at a level where I probably don't need to, but I know the value of it. I will consistently get phone calls from people that just do a Google search in my area. We have 199 reviews right now. And so I'm really trying hard to break that 200 mark. To me, Google is part social media because, if we think about socially, people can find us on there. And so I think just having a basic social media plan, and it doesn't need to be amazing. My social media is not amazing, but it is consistent. It's very consistent. I'll tell you what we do. We post our just listed, just sold. We post real estate quotes, Jim Rohn, Robert Kiyosaki, those type quotes. And then we post our Google reviews. My social media was at a 0. Now it's probably at a 3 just because it's consistent. Social media is the system that we need to tweak or build on. But right now we're doing 150 transactions and my social media is pretty low, but it is consistent. Consistent's the key. So looking at what you're doing in your social media, is it consistent? Is your Google page built out? Are you consistently getting reviews? Are you consistently adding to it? You have to be able to have the discipline to say, no, I'm committed to this and I'm going to ride on this until I get it to a certain level. And then you can move on. I've seen people will take on way too much and then it doesn't get consistent. The consistency is really what matters in a lot of these things. The next thing we have are open houses. Open houses still convert, you guys. I know a lot of people know this. I know some people love them. I know there's some people on this call that hate open houses, and that's okay. But it is very low to no cost attract system that you can put in your business. And the beautiful thing about this is when you build this system, and if you create it well, it's easy to leverage this one system to have somebody else come in and do open houses for you. We do open houses minimally. That's probably one system that we are going to redo. We do some things really, really well, and we go deep on those. And then we do some other things okay. And at some point, we'll go really, really deep on those things. Expired direct response. I put this in there because this is a great system to have in your business if you're not doing anything with expireds. And so the direct response is not just getting on the phone every morning and cranking out all of the phone calls. This is a system that Lars has built in his business where they were using postcards or handwritten letters to mail out to expired listings. I know this because I have friends that are doing this system and they are getting listings from it. Takes a little bit of time to get this system set up into your business. And so if you don't have this system, be prepared. It's a heavy lift to get it going. But when you do get it going, it can be very powerful. So we attracted some business. Now we need to convert that business. This is where a lot of things drop off. So I'm going to show you a stat. And if you need to screenshot it. It's pretty easy to Google this thing. It is on my desktop and I reference this a lot. Okay. This might be painful for some of you. 80% of sales are made on the 5th to 12th contact. 48% of salespeople never follow up with a prospect. We converted a lead this summer. They bought a house with us this summer 2.5-year-old lead. My team consistently goes after these leads because I give them bonuses. We will do contests, like 30-day contests, to see who can get a lead that's 6 months or older under contract. In May, one of my agents went after a buyer lead that came in November the prior year. We reached out and said, hey, are you interested in buying? You were on our website a while ago. No, we already bought a house. Wah, wah. But we actually don't like it. We're thinking about selling it. And so lo and behold, my agent got a listing out of the deal. And then from that listing, we got a sign call, and the same agent got the buyer side of that as well. Do we do this perfectly? We don't. But this is very powerful. I've got to get to 12. I've got to get to the 12th follow-up. And so how do we do that? What's a system for doing that? I'm going to show you the system we use, and there's a lot of different systems out there. This one is just really easy to remember. We call it the 3x3. Annalise, can you drop the 3x3 into the chat? If you have something you're using, you don't need to change it. But you might want to take this document, use part of it. In my CRM, we can create a plan. We have an auto plan with this 3x3. Here's the basics of it. I wanted to keep things simple. I want my team to know what the expectation is. It's 3 attempts per day for the first 3 days, 3 attempts per week for the first 3 weeks, and then 3 attempts per month for the first 3 months. And then we have monthly after that. So take this Google Doc. If you can build a plan in your CRM, create this, and then it'll prompt you. We get a task to call. We can send out automatic text messages. We have the emails. Let me give credit where credit is due. My teammate, Ian, put everything in there for you. 3 attempts per day for the first 3 days. Phone call, email, text message. So 3 attempts per day for the first 3 days. 3 attempts per week for the first 3 weeks. And then 3 attempts per month for the first 3 months. Now, this is if you get a lead and you don't get in touch with them. Once you get in touch with them, then you have to set them up on whatever plan you do. Here's kind of my mindset. Maybe this was yours. Before I had a team and it was just myself, I was like, yeah, I don't need this because I'm just going after these leads. But I still benefited when I got the structure in place. A follow-up plan, if you're by yourself, you're like, they're my leads, I'm just taking care of them. But it's going to benefit you to have a plan that you personally follow. I really need it because I'm paying for leads for my team members. And so I want to make sure that they're getting cared for. But if it's just you and you're like, they're just my leads, I don't really care, you're going to do yourself a big disservice in not having something that you follow. Whether you're a solo agent, a team member, or a team lead, making sure that you have a follow-up plan and then consistently doing it. Yeah. And so like Joe said, the plan makes you consistent. You know, if you know, I've got to do the 3x3. And really the beauty of this too is that it's a lot of it's automated. If you have the right CRM or you have the tools in your CRM to be able to build some of this stuff out where it prompts you to call them, you open up your CRM, you look at your tasks and your dashboard. Oh, I've got to call Ryan today because I look it up, I send in out the automatic text message and everything. Next system we need to have in our business. So we have the attract, which we broke down a couple of things in the attract. Then we have the convert, which is really just having a great lead follow-up plan. Part of the convert, we also talk about having good consultations and that kind of stuff. I think trumping the consultation is having the follow-up. You really have to have the follow-up. I can't tell you how many people we convert that have been in our system for more than 30 days. So we have attracting leads. We're going to convert them with great lead follow-up, and then we're going to deliver a world-class experience. And so here's what I hear a lot of times. Ben, I'm only doing 10 or 12 deals. I really don't need a system in place. I would challenge you that you need the system in place or you'll always do the 10 or 12 deals. Whether you're solo agent just starting or whether you're operating a team, having some kind of system to deliver a world-class experience is critical. If you're just getting started and you don't have any kind of deliver system, the basics are just a checklist. And it might sound really elementary, especially if you're just a solo agent and you're only doing 10, 15 deals a year. I don't need a checklist. I know what I'm doing. I have it all under control. But that mindset is going to restrict you to only doing 10 or 15 transactions. Having the mindset of, I need to build the system so that I can grow, or so that you can do those 10 or 15 transactions instead of 2,000 hours a year. You could do those 10 or 15 transactions in maybe like 1,000 hours per year and increase your dollar productivity, your dollar per hour. We didn't have anything for a long time. It was just me and my assistant, and we just barreled through deals. I remember talking to Lars in 2019, and he's like, man, we were doing a lot of deals. He's like, how are you doing it? I'm like, I don't know. Super stressful. That one little thing of just building a checklist into our contract to close process relieved so much of my stress. We took it from a 0. We'd had a basic checklist, so we were at like a 2 or a 3. And then we implemented more systems. We use a free software called Trello now. And now we're probably at maybe a 6 or a 7. And now we're redoing our whole contract to close process. Like I mentioned, we're going to get it up to like an 8 or a 9, because that really funnels back to the top of the attract. When we can have these amazing services to our clients, it feeds our Google reviews and it feeds our referrals, and it just feeds the machine. So making sure that you have some kind of checklist, albeit a basic one. And then once you get that built out, you can build some automations into your CRM with follow-up on appraisals or all different kinds of things. Attract, convert, deliver. Does anybody remember the fourth one? Scale. Yes. Scaling. I often hear too, like, I don't want to build a team. That's okay. You can still scale your business as a solo agent. Going from 5 transactions to 20 transactions, that's quadrupling your business. And you can do that if you scale your business. And so a couple things around the scale that I just wanted to mention is knowing your numbers. Knowing your numbers for, 1, what you want to hit, but 2, the tasks that you need to do in order to hit those goals. I've heard a stat recently from the company that hosts our CRM. They've got agents all over the country that use this CRM. The stat was 250 conversations per transaction. That's across a wide spectrum of businesses. Some businesses are heavy on database, some are probably heavy on paid leads, but if we took that stat, and even if you wanted to say, hey, I think that's too high, I need to slash that in half, 125 contacts per transaction. And so looking at your market and saying, how many deals do I want to do? And then having that times 125 or times 250 conversations, leaning into those leading indicators of, this is what I need to do in order to crush 2025. Knowing your numbers and tracking your numbers are key to be able to hit your goals. You should hire a virtual assistant before you think you need one. I'm not here to spend your money, but I'm here to help your business grow. Depending on where you're at and what you're spending your time doing, if you don't have the time to have those 100, 150 conversations, if you're like, oh, I'm just too busy, then you probably need to hire a virtual assistant. My mentor pushed me, Ben, save up $600 and hire a VA for 12 weeks. $50 a week. It was 10 hours a week, 2 hours a day at $5 an hour. And that was a big, big lift for me. I did that. And the young lady's still with me 5.5 years later. June 2019 is when I brought her on, and changed my world. I know there's a lot of trepidation about hiring a VA. What am I going to have them do? I don't think I can keep them busy. I'm not sure. But if you get to the point where you wait to bring somebody on, and again, we want to kind of follow a budget here. But if we wait to bring somebody on until we get too busy, we run the risk of losing a couple of transactions. If you're bringing somebody on for 10 or 15 hours a week, you don't have to do a lot of deals to have them pay for themselves. I think hiring a virtual assistant before you need one is one of the key things that you need to have in your business in order to scale. If you are scared of that virtual assistant, one, know this. If it doesn't work out, you don't need to continue with the compensation. Just do it and see that you don't benefit in a massive way from it.
So my question is, aside from Miami, the physical piece that you mail, are you doing something like HomeBot, some higher tech property valuation that provides you with feedback that you can follow up with?
Yeah, we do HomeBot. It's $50 a month. And my clients love it. It's a great tool. I've heard fellow, I don't know much about it, but being able to send them some kind of market report or regular home valuation, I think is important. Now, we send it out to a few hundred people, and you're going to have maybe 10 to 20 people look at it every month, and they're really curious about it. And then you're going to have people that don't look at it at all until they look at it. And then they're going to, then you'll be able to see it. To me, HomeBot was just a really good, affordable one.
My second question is, you had mentioned about direct response for the expireds. What are you doing as a direct response for the expireds?
Great question, Chris. We don't do direct response for expireds.
You don't?
That's not part of my business right now. I don't add too much to my plate. I know where my business comes from. We doubled down on our database. Last year, we did 257,000 GCI in my database. This year, we'll do right around 300, give or take. And so the expired system is a big system to build. And so I just haven't taken it on yet. So I'm not doing expireds.
What are the top 2 or 3 things that you would delegate to your virtual assistant?
All of my contract to close stuff, all of my paperwork. If I need an addendum signed, they do it. They do all my social media, email. I'm an attorney state, so they email the attorneys, they'll email the lenders, they handle all of that. When I was in my heavy system building, my VA was building a lot of it. So I would take 10%, like, here's what I want to do, get it started. And then honestly, I'd pay her. I'm like, I don't know how to use Trello. Watch these videos. I'd pay her to watch videos. And then she would do it. And then I'd come in and clean it up and finish it on the back end.
Most of your business is the source, your database marketing, like Dave Hook.
Yep. We run Dave Hook's a complete process. That's exactly what we do. Hope you have a great Thanksgiving, great holiday week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thanks for joining us.